So I came across these on eBay, which are hinges for the Daimler SP250. They're not brand new. There's a mark there, for instance. And I think there should all be studs in here. Instead, there's one stud, or two studs rather, and these bolts. Checking the bolts out. With the trusty thread checker, which is really quite handy. It turns out to be a 1/4 inch 28 TPI UNF thread. That one is at least fits in there. These ones look to be different, but they've both got nuts on, so they are studs already. I don't think these bolts are going to work because they need to be exactly the right length, and they both have a stud. So if necessary, I'll reuse the studs on the existing hinges. So this one, that's 1/4 inch 20, so that's UNC. This one doesn't say, yes it does, 5/16. So yeah, okay, so it's 5/16 into the car. That says right on it, by the looks of it. It's got an R written on it. Yeah, and that one's got, oh no, that says 117. That's strange, so that one seems to have an R scratched in it. This one, yeah, looks like a stamped number almost, but it's 117, or possibly H7. As far as I know, these are symmetrical, so I don't see why there should be an R and a L. Well, they certainly look the same, to me anyway. So yeah, okay, so 5/16 UNF and 1/4 inch UNF. The existing hinges, by the way, are just badly corroded, they're really badly pitted, and have been since I had the car. So I managed to get a set for the boot lid, which are the same, by the way, when I rebuilt the car 40 odd years ago, but I couldn't get ones for the bonnet at the time. So finally, after all these years, I've got a slightly better pair, at least, than the ones that I've had on the car for all this time. So I managed to get the hinges out. They do indeed are accessible from inside the car under the dash, just they're quite far back. They came out relatively easily. That one's not too bad. This one is more pitted and in poor condition, and one of the bolts is quite wasted. You know, it's been rusted away and thinned down where it passes through the bodywork. Also, bolts, or at least the nuts, seem to be different sizes. The different sizes on the left and the right, which is a bit of a pain when you're groveling about underneath the dashboard trying to get a spanner on the nut. Anyway, all out now, and so I can look at sorting out the new ones. So these are the two pairs of hinges. Yeah, so then you can see this one in particular is the worst. That one's got some strange marks on it, which I don't think I put on there, but it looks to be under the chrome. Anyway, these new, or they're not new, but they're new old stock or whatever, are distinctly better. So yeah, I'll certainly fit those. And these are the screws that came with them. These shouldn't be screws anyway. They should be studs. And these look okay, but what I think I'm going to do is to work out the threads and get some stainless versions and fit those instead, rather than mess around trying to get these to work. So yeah. Okay, so I've got some nuts and bolts from these people, Westfield Fasteners, have done a great job. At least I think they have. Certainly fast and efficient. Yeah, there's some penny washers. The plan was to put those on the inside of the bonnet. Actually, they're bigger than I was expecting. Obviously, I didn't think it through, but they should be okay. And some others for the under the dash. And I couldn't get studding, or at least it didn't look very hard. So I got bolts instead, which I'm going to shorten. Just wondering, 5/16, and these are quarters. Yeah, they don't look that different, do they? But obviously they are. So these should be long enough to fit the end nearest the bulkhead and the dash in here. And they are UNF. Yeah, that's fine. So I'll work out the length and cut these off. And obviously the same for the 1/4 inch ones here. And I've got nuts to suit, and obviously the washers as well. So yeah, that one fits fine too. So that's replacing these, I think. Yeah. So obviously that original is about that long, but I'll check that before I actually cut it. These are all A2 stainless, in other words 304 grade, and they're austenitic, so they're not magnetic, maybe very slightly, but so it's not the highest grade. A4 is better for marine applications, but this will do fine for these. I just ran a die nut down the threads after cutting them and grinding them, just to make sure the threads are clean. And yeah, that's fine. I was thinking I would Loctite these into the hinges. I think actually I'm going to use epoxy adhesive, 2-part epoxy, Aerodite to its friends, and just lock those in semi-permanently, so that the nuts go on and off, hopefully without disturbing the stud. So I'll get some epoxy and screw those in and glue them in. I'm just going to put a tiny amount of adhesive on the threads. I don't want it to sort of hydro lock underneath the threads. That's probably more than enough. Right, so that's all the studs in and glued in with the epoxy. So while I've got the bonnet off, I'm going to repaint the hook on the bonnet and the main catch. I did paint these back in the day, but interesting, that one's the captive nut going around. Oh no, it's just a very long screw. These look like 1/4 inch UNF to me, in which case I might be able to use the stainless screws that I've already bought for the hinges. So yeah, I'll take this off as well, and so repaint this before I put it all back together. The other thing I want to do, I've pressure washed the underside of this. I've let it dry for a couple of days. I'm going to spray the underside. I'm thinking satin black, just to tidy it up a bit. So while I've got it off the car, yeah. So there's taken this hook off, took the spray pin out and the pin out, clovis pin, and yeah, that spring sits like so. Short end on this side and the long on this, and that short end presses up against the steel part there. So I'll just remember that. I'll give that a bit of a polish, or at least a wire brush, and same with this, and I'll paint it. Yes, this bonnet catch, the yeah, this centre bolt, for want of a better word, is flush with the top here when it's in place, or at least it was on my car. And this locking nut is obviously on there just to fix it in that location. And this little cup is on the spring, and this has a slot in the end so you can hold it still with a screwdriver. So again, I'll put all those, I'll clean all those up, and we'll work from there. So a nice little simple part here for holding the release hook on the bonnet. This might have been subcontracted to some small company in Coventry back in the days of the Daimler factory at Radford, but it's just a flat sheet, just stamped with these edges raised up, and this part would have been bent up and the ears tucked in, and then just brazed there and there. Bit of spatter from the braze in there. So yeah, fairly rough and ready, but effective. But not a huge mass-produced part, I wouldn't have said. Just knocked up for the relatively small run of the SP250. So I'll clean the inside of the bonnet with a pressure washer. Left it for 3 days to dry because I think the pressure washer lifted off the paint that was on before in places. So changes that it's got into the water's got into the glass fibre. But anyway, so that's probably dry. This has got captive nuts bonded into the glass fibre, which of course tend to rust. I assume they're on some kind of plate that is bonded inside the glass fibre. I've just squirted some wax oil in, which is very runny, this particular can especially for some reason. But I'm hoping that will, in a capillary reaction, will take it into the steel work that's embedded in the glass fibre and maybe stop it from rusting and expanding, damaging itself. So yeah, it's all good. I've also done the same on the one down here. There's a little bit of steel in there for the prop, for the bonnet lid. So yeah, ready to paint. Right, that's looking much better. I've painted the underside of this with satin black, and it's 800 millilitres of paint on the underside of the bonnet, so that should seal the loose glass fibre into the bonnet. Put all these back on, painted these first, of course, put them back on, stainless steel A2 stainless 304, so not the best. But by the way, I put this on years ago. It just hooks onto the car body basically, just to secure the bonnet. So it does come up for some reason. First, this will catch it with a bit of luck, of course, but then if worst comes to the worst, this would stop it from flying up. I think the B spec cars like mine are less prone to the bonnet popping up, but it used to be an issue on the A spec cars. Anyway, that's there for security. Right, I've checked the parts manual, and these hinges don't have a gasket underneath. They're just bolted straight to the glass fibre. But I'd like to have a gasket, so I'm thinking that I'll try and 3D print some TPU rubber gaskets, just I don't know, maybe 0.4 mil thick. Anyway, so to try and get that going, I've traced the shape of this, both ends, and obviously marked the holes as well. So the plan is to scan these shapes into Inkscape with a ruler in place, and then turn them into a 2D file I can then put into SCAD and extrude into just a thin gasket, and then print it. So hopefully that'll work. Let's see how it goes. Right, that took a bit of fiddling, but I managed to trace the part and get it via Inkscape into an SVG file and import the SVG file to OpenSCAD, which is what this is. And yeah, it seems okay. This red line is just a construction line. That's the length of the hinge, which is 165 mil. Obviously, I've made holes for the studs to go through. And at the moment, that's 0.4 millimeters thick. So I'll print that in TPU and see how it works out. And then obviously do the same for the the other end of the hinge that attaches to the body. Right, so a bit of a disaster. Having taken all the trouble of getting this this gasket working, I used this hinge, the old one, with all the pitting on it, to create the template and get this into CAD and 3D printer ultimately, and it fits perfectly. So I'm really pleased with that. Holes line up, fits the profile perfectly, so that's really good. The trouble is, I've realised now, I thought these were all the same, but it turns out that the spacing of these screws is different to the ones on the original, and worse still, the profile is actually different as well. So looking at that, I can see that, but this one is considerably wider and very slightly longer than the original. And as I say, obviously the holes are different, which is even worse. I could just make another gasket otherwise, but this isn't going to line up with the holes in the bonnet. So the question is, do I give up and revert back to the old hinges with the pitting, or make the bonnet fit these? I'm going to see about that. I don't really want to elongate the holes in the bonnet lid, but we'll see. It's not wildly different. It's about well, it's the diameter of the stud basically. So it's it's not wildly different. But I'll have a look at the holes. They're a lot bigger than the screws already, but we'll see. Okay, well, looking at my freshly painted bonnet lid, this side, this is a new hinge with the wider spacing, and this one does actually fit in on this side, just about, because this top hole has evidently been elongated already. I didn't do that, but that does indeed fit. On the other side, this one doesn't quite. It's very close, because again, this one is slightly elongated, but not quite. So I think I'm going to elongate this hole slightly, so it won't take much, and that'll let me use these hinges. That's an interesting learning point. Check everything carefully, which I obviously didn't do. And these superficially, these look identical to the originals, but evidently they aren't quite the same. I wonder whether they're from a different car. I'm sure these hinges must be fitted to a lot of cars of the era. I saw a TR3 in the Coventry Museum the other day, and that was very similar, but again, it's a slightly different profile, and that was painted green to match the colour of the car. But yeah, there are a lot of these about, these sort of surface mount hinges, but evidently they are not all the same. Anyway, so I'm going to elongate the hole is the short answer, and I'm going to have to make the gasket again, so it's using this profile rather than the profile of the old one, and obviously the spacing as well. So that's a bit frustrating, but all is not lost. So I've remade the gaskets, and they're a pretty good fit on the new, or relatively new, hinges, and there's these ones as well. So happy with that. I made them 1mm thick in the end, which still looks pretty thin, but it's seems more reasonable. So yeah, these gaskets aren't necessary. They're not included in the original spec of the car, but I don't know, it just seemed like a good idea to me. Just a bit of cushioning between the metal and the glass fibre. So I will now fit those on the car. I bought these stainless penny washers thinking that'd be a good idea on the inside of the bonnet. I now realise that the reinforcement on the bonnet is going to intrude on the washer. So I'm going to have to adjust these, cut a bit off probably, so that they fit alongside the reinforcement and fit against the underside of the bonnet itself. But that's a minor problem. I'll work on that. That's interesting. I've got both hinges on, and both of them, although they're all loose, I won't tighten them up till I've got the bonnet back on the car. But this one is just poking above the edge of the bonnet there, and the one on the other side is the same height. The protrusion here is the same, which is good. However, the relationship of these studs to this reinforcing part is quite different. I've had to put a bend in that washer to account for that. This one is just flat because it doesn't quite reach the reinforcement. Whereas on the other side, it's the other way around. This one needs a bend and this one doesn't. So basically, this reinforcement comes up closer to the edge as it works its way across the bonnet. So this underlying part doesn't align with the outer. So that's interesting, but not unsurprising really, with a relatively hand-built glass fibre body shell. So this is the grille at the back of the bonnet above the plenum chamber for the heater, and these are the screws that came out. Pretty rusty, so I thought I might as well get some stainless steel ones, which have turned up today. These are number 10s, so they're significantly bigger than the ones I took out, or at least slightly bigger. But I think I need them to bite into the glass fibre. They just go straight into the glass fibre body shell, so these should give a bit more grip than the trying to put these old ones back in, or new ones of the same size. So I'll put this back on the car, and then I can put the bonnet lid on. Well, that didn't take a lot longer than I expected, but they're on now. So the old pitted hinge is replaced with a somewhat better one, well, a lot better really. And I've also got the little TPU gaskets, which they not really necessary, but they're on there anyway. And some stainless screws in the cover here, which is good. So yeah, thanks for watching.